All right, boys, it's chest day. I am gonna try to hit a PR on this. It's 270 on the chest fly. I added 10 pounds to the full stack. And I just wanna see how my progressive overload is going, because a few days ago, I implemented a second chest day into my routine, and it's just very low volume, just 2 sets, not even to failure, leaving a rep in reserve, so really mitigating the fatigue. And I'm just gonna try to see how much weight I could do on this. Try to get maybe like anywhere from 5 to 7 reps. We'll see what happens. But yeah, let's do the set. All right, so let's talk about motor unit recruitment for a second. Dude, I hammer this home in every single one of my videos. Motor unit recruitment is probably the most important variable to base your training around, okay? Based on the size principle of motor unit recruitment, which says your body will recruit muscle fibers in order from smallest to largest, or motor units, right? A motor unit is a motor neuron and a muscle fiber, or the muscle fibers that it controls, right? So with that said, your goal should be, how can I activate the biggest fibers, the ones that can actually grow, the ones that are noticeable, the ones that are stronger, and how can I minimize fatigue in order to activate those muscle fibers more efficiently? So with that said, for the longest time, I would do lots of benching. I got my incline up to 3 plates on the Smith machine, so I guess it doesn't count. But, you know, always had a decent bench, you know? But my shoulders were always, you know, more dominant. My triceps were always a little more dominant in the press than my chest was. And, you know, after you get up to 3 plates, no matter how you're doing it, on Smith machine or normal or whatever, it's pretty high for you not to have a very big chest, right? And so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, what do I need to start doing? And the answer is isolate the chest, allocate energy and my perception of effort to my chest. How can I get the best motor unit recruitment for my chest? And the answer is isolation. So the best way to do that is in a chest fly, and guess what? I'm seeing progressive overload every single time I do this. Now I'm up to obviously 270, adding a 10 to the stack. I think I just got 7 reps, which is literally what I did last week. Or not last week, I guess, yeah, last week, a few days ago. But with 10 more pounds. So, I mean, the progressive overload's happening rapidly. And I'm just excited to see where it goes in the future. Nice. Those 2 sets just went pretty well. I'm probably going to leave a rep in reserve for this set, because especially when you're doing higher volume on any movement, you shouldn't necessarily always push it to absolute failure, or just failure in general, in any set, right? Because what that's going to do is you're going to accrue so much fatigue, you're going to make future sets a little less effective in that session, and the amount of stimulus you're getting for that last rep, even though it's the same, really, as all the previous reps, in terms of, you know, the last 5 are generally going to have full motor unit recruitment, so all of them are equally as effective. The last rep gives so much more fatigue. I'd rather see you leave one in reserve, do another set, get full motor unit recruitment, obviously, and do like 4 reps. So way less fatigue that way, and you're probably going to get a higher stimulus and higher quality reps. So. All right, I think this is my 5th set. Could be wrong. I did 2 sets with an extra 10, and I think I did 2 sets on the full stack. So this would be my 5th. But I'm just very happy with the amount of fatigue management that's been going on in my training lately, because for a while, you know, I would do 15 sets on chest day. For a while, I would do crazy volume, high reps, all this stuff. And a lot of that stuff, what that's just going to do for you is it's going to increase your fatigue. It's going to limit the amount of stimulus you can actually get on a set per set basis. And obviously, if I'm hypertrophy training, my interest is going to be in, okay, how much quality can I get out of my sessions? I'm not just trying to have fun or just trying to get a pump. While that is amazing, and especially like if you're bulking, you're going to love doing that. That's not the goal, right? Pump is a byproduct of hard training, right? Just like soreness can also be a byproduct, not necessarily always, but a lot of people will chase the soreness, they'll chase the pump, the burn, but none of those things cause growth. What causes growth is mechanical tension, right? It's when the biggest fibers experience mechanical tension, that is when you actually can see growth. Other than that, all the muscle fibers within the motor unit pool, from the smallest to largest, all of them are maxed out that aren't the biggest, right? There's always untapped potential, and if you can access those motor units through obviously high motor unit recruitment training and minimizing fatigue and maximizing your stimulus, you're going to see a new wave of gains. That's why you see me able to progress on the chest fly very much on a weekly basis, even, every few days able to progress, is because I've been focusing on mitigating fatigue, maximizing my stimulus, and prioritizing progressive overload, and not doing all sorts of gimmicks in my training. So you're gonna see my chest get bigger. I'm not gonna say it's gonna get absolutely gigantic, but when you see me with my gym pin, eventually whenever it comes, you're gonna see me putting on 1, 2, 3 extra plates eventually, and it's gonna cause a lot of gains. So, you guys might be thinking, man, what are you doing for upper chest? The thing is, if you're isolating your chest this much in a fly, I'm not going to say all 3 heads of your pec are going to be working evenly, right? Or not even 3 heads, but 3 divisions, right? Not saying that they're all working as much as they could individually, right? Like, of course, if I'm going to do a more incline based or have more of a 45-degree arm path, it is going to bias my upper chest more. Just like the inverse, if I had this kind of range of motion, I'd be targeting my lower chest more. But you're getting fairly, relatively even activation throughout all 3 divisions of your pec, right? Whenever you're doing a fly. Because you can't just totally isolate one part over another. You can bias different divisions just like you can with the lats, but you're not going to end up totally isolating one division over another. So with that said, I'm not too worried about doing incline specific training, seeing as, I did incline bench for years, building up to 3 plates and saw essentially very, very minimal upper chest growth. So I think, like I said, if I just prioritize focusing on high motor unit recruitment, progressing into isolations, like I'm a huge fan of, you're going to see growth. I mean, I even did that with my arms on the last bulk, and I brought them in 6 months from 15 inches to 17 inches. And I was doing single arm preacher curls, heavy tricep push downs, and just focusing on that quality like I was talking about. So no crazy high reps, no crazy pump work, just for the most part effective high quality reps. So getting myself too hyped for the next bulk, boys. Let's get to the set. We're getting new stretch marks every session, boys. You see that? Holy crap. Growing by the minute. Single limb stuff is going to be harder to progress because, think about it. You're operating at half the strength you could with 2 limbs, and you're going to be able to progress theoretically twice as fast in terms of the, not the muscle growth, but the numbers purely. Because 2 arms are going to be twice as strong as 1. So, with that said, I'm up to 50 pounds on this. think I did 52 last week, something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I want to try to just get 50 with decent form, prioritize the shortened position. So I'm not going to try to get a huge, super ultra deep stretch because there's not too much growth to be had there with the triceps anyway. And you'll see most of my training goes based off of neuromechanical matching, right? I don't want to train a muscle very often in a position where it can't even produce much force or have high levels of motor unit recruitment, right? Because if I'm getting subpar motor unit recruitment, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to grow as much as if I'm getting high motor unit recruitment with the movement. So for example, when I do a preacher curl, your biceps have the best leverage in the stretch position, right? They don't get stretch mediated hypertrophy, which is a different thing, but they do have best leverage to produce force and have high motor unit recruitment in the stretch position, right? So if we apply that same principle with other muscles, we can actually look at where they have best leverage. So for example, the lats are very different than the biceps. The lats have great leverage in the contracted position. The triceps have great leverage there. The glutes have great leverage there. And not all muscles are going to benefit and have high motor unit recruitment from getting these super deep stretches. So with that said, let's get to the set. Woo. 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 That was good. That moved super well. I'm getting better at this movement, guys. All right, boys. I know I'm nerding out a little bit in these scientific explanations, but I think it's for your benefit. I think if you want to have the most effective training, you got to stop falling for gimmicks. You got to stop listening to the biggest, these guys who just want to sell things, right? Supplements, programs, whatever. A lot of them don't have a good foundational knowledge of science-based training. They still think that muscles are torn down and built back bigger. They think that the pump causes growth. They think all these things that just aren't founded in modern science for lifting. And like I said, progressive overload is what matters at the end of the day. And the thing is, you can progress as a power lifter and be super strong and really small. But the thing with those guys is they use so many reps in reserve. They don't focus on getting stimulating reps, but rather they focus on, or at least that's not their main focus, quantity of stimulating reps. Their main focus is on strength building, and so a lot of that has to do with practicing the movement and actually getting your CNS to be able to handle super heavy loads with those muscles, right? But if you want to maximize your growth, you have to go by the stimulating reps model, which I will go into after the set. All right, so the stimulating reps model is based on reps with full motor unit recruitment. Reps without full motor unit recruitment aren't going to provide you any meaningful stimulus. They might stimulate fibers that are already as big as they can be. So for example, Larry Wheels can bench 675, right? If he did 225, he would be stimulating those fibers that can do 225, right? The fibers that he needs to be able to do that weight are going to receive some kind of stimulus. But eventually, if he only did that, he would atrophy down to being able to only do 225 after a long time, of course, because there are certain things helping him out, but you get my point. Now, that's kind of a bad example because he's on, he's on stuff. But You get my point. Use it or lose it. And with that said, stimulating reps are what you need to base your training off of, because you're actually saying, okay, which reps are the ones growing me? Which reps are the ones with full motor unit recruitment that are actually going to grow my muscle fibers, the biggest ones that actually can grow, that aren't maxed out in their size? And let's go from there.
Yeah, no, you're good. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna put on 42 instead of 50, or 42 and a half. Whew. Whew. Moved good, as expected.
And I guess a while back, Calhoun researched, and there wasn't any more, so we left. Oh, so you just left? Yes. And then the oldest, Jim's oldest daughter, Kristen, she's in Nashville. She's her, Bill, Jim.
Pump is crazy. I'm gonna waste no time talking, and we're just gonna get right to posing.